I need to change the size of the inside of this box here, or this inside box here, a little bit. I like the left to right, but I'm going to make it a little bit taller than this. I'm going to go to the scale. We'll select that. 5.25. Apply. Doesn't look like it moved it far enough. Oh, yeah, of course it didn't. We'll undo that. Make it 5.5. Ah, yeah, now we got a 1/2 inch all the way around. And just to verify that, we'll measure it real quick from there to there. Well, it was a little crooked, you'll notice that quick, that 5 or 0.5, 1/2 inch. That's a 1/2 inch. Alrighty. Now, when I run this profile, it should follow this around and make contact all the way around here. Although I'm hoping that it doesn't put a curve. I'm hoping that it puts a nice straight corners on here, and I think it will. We're going to go find out. So up here, we're going to go over to the generate tool paths. We're going to go into the molding tool path. Now the first thing I want to do is select my vectors. If I select I have to select the drive rail first. This rectangle is the drive rail I'm going to use. And I'll hold down the shift. The next one I select will be the profile, and I'm going to use that for the profile. Now you'll notice these lines here are showing you, well, it'll go around this way, but these line up pretty nicely. They do go past the corners just a little bit here and here, but that's okay. Actually, they don't go past the corner. They don't quite go to the corner, but that's okay. I think it's going to work out just fine. I'm going to select my bit, which is going to be a tapered ball nose for right now for this, and this is going to be the finished pass. This won't be the any of the roughing passes. This here is just the finished path, and we will see how that looks. And it did kind of round these more than I thought, but I think it'll look just fine. Let's get rid of the tool path. Let's move this up at an angle so we can have a look to see what it's going to do, and we'll run it. That actually is kind of nice. Kind of like the way it did that. What I think I want to do is capitalize on this a little bit here and make this perhaps a little bit deeper so that this part is a little more proud. So what we can do, we'll go back to 2D view, we'll go back to draw. You notice that lip is being caused by this. So I think what we're going to do is we'll cut this off right here. And we'll get rid of that one. And what we're going to do is make it much more pronounced. And we can probably do that with the circle. And we'll just start drawing one arbitrarily. And it doesn't really matter how big we make it when it gets right down to it. Now we're going to move this. And something like that is going to be a nice lip to leave. Maybe a little too thick, but that's all right. Get out our scissors. We'll cut this little piece off because we don't need it. Now what I want to do is make a connection to this. And we can get rid of that line. Oops. We'll put that vector back. And we'll make an arc. Start it from this point. We'll run it up to about halfway. Make it a nice swooping arc that meets up well with this. We'll get rid of that line that we don't need. And with our trusty scissors, we'll get rid of that we don't need. Now we'll connect our vectors. So we have just one piece, and we do. So let's go back over to the tool path and see what we got now. So we will edit this. Now we have to select this again since we altered it so much. And let's calculate it. We will reset the preview. Don't need to see the tool path right now. And let's see how that looks. Now that did exactly the opposite of what I wanted it to do. I don't want it to dish it out in this direction. So we will edit this, go to 2D view, and we'll try reverse direction on that and see how that does. We'll recalculate it. Let's reset. I think this is going to work. Yeah, that's what I had in mind. Alright, now you'll notice this part is much better off. Alright, I decided to go with a couple of slight changes here. I'm going to show you what's going on. The first thing I want to do is this box here, the outside of where the profile is going to be, I want it to have nice sharp corners. So the best way to do that, I'm going to go back to the underside where this lives. I'm going to copy this to the other side. Then we'll go back up to this side. Now you notice now it's nice and dark. That means it's there. I'm going to, on just this side, I'm going to take that chamfer off, which I can do this tool right here. When you're hovering it over, when it's round it'll make the chamfer. When it's sharp like that, it'll remove the chamfer. So I'm going to remove the chamfer on these. And basically, I'm just using this as a placeholder. Because now I'm going to put in some individual lines across the top. I'll put one. Then I'll put one across the bottom. Now that should give me, oh, you know what, I think, yeah, it's there. All right. Put another line down the left side and one down the right side. And I don't really want these connected because doing some experiments, I found a really cool little effect that this is going to create. Now I'm going to create two tool paths. One that'll go across the top and bottom, and one that'll go up each side. First one I'll do is up the sides. So over here we'll select our molding tool path. We're still using the same bit, all that. And our vectors, I'll select that line I just drew, that line I just drew, and this is the profile. Now these I want to go, see these lines, this is where it's going to draw this out, and I want it to go inside, not outside. So if I right click on this and then reverse direction, oh, that one was already, I think, going in the right direction. Yeah, it was. Reverse direction on this one. Now they're going in the correct direction. Now I'll calculate this. I'll reset the preview, remove the toolpath because I don't really need to see it. Alright, now we cut these two out. That's just fine. We'll go back to 2D view. We'll close this and we'll make another one. This one here, our vectors are going to be the line across the top. So we'll take the top vector. I know what I did. I just clicked on the wrong lines. The bottom vector, this is our profile. This here we will need to change direction. So it goes in towards that. That's just fine. Calculate it. Now they're going across where they want to be. We don't need to look at that. But here's what the preview will look like. Now I really like this because it made these little, doing it this way, it made these little corner features that I really like the way they look. And then when I cut this piece out, that'll all go away. So this part of what we're going to do with that part of the lid is done. Alright, when this cuts out, to get it to keep from leaving a bunch of excess on these corners here, I can show you what that looks like. We'll do this one. You'll notice after it cuts it out, it leaves these here. I don't like those, and I also don't like trying to remove them by sanding them or cutting them, because a lot of times they'll break off, and if they break off they can go below this level here, which leaves a chip in the wood, which is real hard to deal with. So what we will do, go back to 2D view. What I did is I offset the outside of that pocket that I'm going to do. So this here, I'm going to edit it, and I'm going to run the pocket instead of between these two vectors. I'm going to run it between that one and this outside one, and that'll clip off that little extra corner. We'll calculate it. This is what that tool path will look like, and let's preview it. That looks like it should look. Then we'll look at the profile and see how that looks. That'll, see, nice sharp corners, nothing left over. Then if we go through the rest of them, first one is that almost looks cool just the way it is. Then this one, and like I said, I really like these corner features, and that's what the lid of the box will look like. And all I have to do is run this through my bandsaw and then sand the tabs down, and it'll be just fine. Alright, I decided to make some changes on this, and I came up with something that's basically all I did was move the profile out towards the edge instead of leaving a lip around the edge, which also means I have one less cutting operation to do, and I think it'll look better. Here's what it'll look like. We'll show you this one first. There's that cut out. Then the next one will be this, and it'll do that cut out, and then this will do the final cutout. And I just really like the way this will make the box look. To me it looks complete. The other way it just didn't look complete, and that's because of the edge hanging over that was flat. This way, when I cut it out, this lid going right to the edge like this looks complete. Now what we're going to do is make the tool path to put, I'm going to put that raised cross I was talking to you about, and actually it's going to be a lowered cross, but it'll be a raised cross. I know that doesn't make any sense, but we'll show you what's going on in just a second. Alright, now we're going to go get the cross. I'm going to use the same cross I used on the first box I made. So let's open up the first one. We don't need to save anything there. Let's copy those again. Let's just copy the whole thing, and then we can sort it out on the other side. Copy. Now we'll paste it. I think if we just remove this one right here, it's a little thin, but I think the effect I'm looking for is going to be just fine, because this is going to be cut on what's probably going to be a 60-degree angle. I'll show you what I mean here. First of all, we want to make a rectangle around this of some arbitrary size, as long as it starts in the middle, and we will make it about like that. Now we want to make sure that's centered in our work. It's centered now. Now what we want to do is we want to cut out a profile, and we want to do a V carving on this. So to do that, go over here to our tool paths, and what we want to do is select this, select each one of these, select the center vector, and then we'll do our V carve tool path. Now that's already set up for a 60-degree bit. I don't want to go down necessarily a full 1/2 inch, but I think I will go down 1/4 inch. We'll calculate that, see what happens. I'm probably going to put in a clearance tool in there, but just for now, just to see what it'll look like. Kind of like that. To me, that doesn't look too shabby. Let's see what it looks like in conjunction with the others. There's that one. That one. Yeah, you know, I like that a lot. So we're going to go with that. Alrighty. First of all, let's rename these. This will be the lid horizontal. Oops. This is the vertical, excuse me. Profile. And we're going to rename this again later at any rate, but it's going to be number 1. Actually, that's a 1 millimeter, excuse me. 1 millimeter tapered ball nose. Rename this, and this is a lid. Horizontal profile, 1 millimeter tapered ball nose. And this, oops, is the lid final cutout 0.25 mil. Now when I name my G-code files, I always like to include the size of the bit that I'm using, so that I can just glance at that, pretty much change the bit out, and I'm off to the races. This here will be edited, so that's actually edit. The first thing we want to do is we want to use clearance tools. So select that and probably go with an 1/8" clearance. So in my tools here, my end mills, I've got an 1/8" here, which is a bit I really like. I'll select that. I think everything is good. I'm going to go ahead and calculate these, and it'll actually recalculate both tool paths. And if we reset the preview, we'll see what those look like. That's the first clearance, and this should be the final. Yep, that'll be just fine. I'm happy with that. So this one here, we're going to call this cross clear 0.125 end mill. This one here is cross finish 60-degree V-bit. All right, all of this is done. Now if I wanted to, I could put some kind of design in the middle, but I kind of like it just hanging out plain like this. It'll make it stand out from the rest of the box. I'll show you what I mean here. It'll take me just a second to go through these. I just think it fits in better. If I tried to do a little relief on the inside of this, I think it would just distract from the rest of the box. So this is a good solid lid for the box. I'm going to go ahead and package this up and start getting some of it posted up.